Welcome to America's Talking, powered by the Center Square. I'm Dan McCaleb, executive editor of the Center Square Newswire service. In a matter of hours this week, the Jeffrey Epstein saga took a major turn when the U. House voted nearly unanimously to require the U.S. Attorney General to release most files related to the late convicted sexual child trafficker. That was followed shortly after by a unanimous vote in the Senate. The next day, President Donald Trump signed it into law. The Justice Department now has less than 30 days to release the files, with some redactions. Joining me to discuss this is the Center Square reporter Andrew Rice. Andrew, you covered Tuesday's days-long developments. How did it come about?
Right. Well, the vote and eventual signing of the bill to release the Epstein files came after months of political infighting and fighting between parties. The intense fighting really began once Congress came back from its August recess. Representative Thomas Massie, a Republican from Kentucky, and Representative Ro Khanna, a Democrat from California, introduced a discharge petition to force the Epstein Files Transparency Act out of committee and onto the House floor. Discharge petitions require 218 signatures from members of Congress, and they can force a vote out of working out in committee and make it so that it's required to be voted on the House floor. It was unclear at first how much support this would get, but once Republicans, Nancy Mace, the Republican from South Carolina, Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia, and Lauren Boebert from Colorado began to join the petition, it brought a great deal of pressure to House Republicans on the issue, and many Democrats were joining in that as well. One big holdout in this whole thing, because Khanna and Massie had one vote that they were missing toward the end of September, they were hoping to bring on Democrat Rep-elect Adelita Grijalva, a representative from Arizona, to be that final 218th signature. However, due to the government shutdown, House Speaker Mike Johnson decided not to swear Grijalva in while the shutdown was going on. So while Grijalva was elected back in September, she wasn't sworn in until November. However, once she was sworn in, she quickly joined her name to this discharge petition, and the House moved forward with a vote 427-1 on releasing the Epstein files.
Now, there was in the House, there was one representative holdout who did not vote to release the files, Republican Representative Clay Higgins of Louisiana. What was his reasoning for holding out?
Right. Higgins was the one vote, like you said, was the one vote against this in the House. And he cited a reason that a lot of House Republicans, including Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, have cited for being against this bill. Higgins said that the act did not provide enough privacy protections for victims of the crimes against Jeffrey Epstein. He said that a lot of victims that have yet to come out and publicly support the release of this bill due to fear of retribution would have their identities compromised because of the release of these documents. He also said that some innocent bystanders that might be mentioned in some of these documents could be included and face some sort of guilt by association due to their inclusion in and their names being included in these documents related to Jeffrey Epstein.
Now, the measure does allow for some redactions, isn't that right, Andrew? Exactly what can be redacted from these documents?
Yes. So the Attorney General has the ability to redact several things in the documents, including evidence in the documents of child sexual abuse material or child pornography. The Attorney General is able to redact that. Additionally, the Attorney General has somewhat of a sway. Pam Bondi has somewhat of a sway in redacting things related to current investigations, current and ongoing investigations that the Justice Department is conducting, as well as documents related to identifiable material associated with victims that also have yet to come out, have yet to come forward or be released, or even victims that have come forward. So the bill's expectation for active investigations, the exceptions for those active investigations could include investigations that Trump has ordered the Department of Justice to conduct. Just recently, he ordered Pam Bondi to conduct an investigation into top Democrats, including Bill Clinton. So some of the redactions that the Attorney General could make related to these documents could include some of those investigations. So it's unclear, but it will be really interesting to see as the documents get released what will be redacted and what will continue to be included in these documents.
The names of potential associates of Epstein, or those who traveled to his island, they are not supposed to be redacted. But is there speculation that some of those names might be protected?
Yes, there's certainly some speculation that those names might be protected, and that has been a big topic of conversation about this with some of these things going on. Like I mentioned, with active investigations, those could redact a serious amount of names and identifiable information, but also a lot of representatives, including Higgins, who voted against this, a lot of House Republicans were concerned about people who were innocent, some people that might have just been average service members, or people that were hospitality and service members that might be mentioned in some of these documents who had no idea of the crimes that were going on, that they might be mentioned and brought into this, and again, included in that guilt by association. So it's unclear exactly, but there is some speculation that those people might be protected from having their identities released through the redactions that the Attorney General is able to include in the release of these documents.
Now, you mentioned Bill Clinton and his association with Jeffrey Epstein. There's plenty of speculation on what other names might be in there. Of course, there's already been, and President Trump has talked about it, that he was at one time close to Jeffrey Epstein, denies any wrongdoing. Are there other names being floated out there? I don't want to necessarily throw anybody under the bus because we don't know. But is there a potential for some barn burner names to be released when these documents are?
There's certainly a potential for that. It's unclear with these redactions, but there is certainly a potential. Like I said, President Trump has asked for an investigation into some top Democrats, including Bill Clinton, and also Larry Summers, who is the former president of Harvard and former transportation secretary. He has publicly stated that he is embarrassed because of some documents that have shown his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. So there's potential for many more barn burners names to be released in moving forward with the release of these documents, but it really is yet to see. We're looking at right now a December 19th release date for these documents, given that 30-day timeline. And so we'll be counting down the days until that date to hear more about the important revelations that these documents might bring.
Andrew, thank you for joining us today. Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com.